Welcome to SA News Weekly News Update. We'll cover the top stories from across the United States, important developments worldwide, and new insights from the world of health and science.
A powerful series of thunderstorms swept across the American Midwest this week, producing tornadoes, destructive winds, and flash flooding across several states. Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia were among the areas hit. At least 3 deaths were reported as communities dealt with rapidly rising water, damaged buildings, fallen trees, and widespread electrical outages. In Ohio, the National Guard was deployed to assist with emergency operations and water rescues. At the height of the disruption, hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses lost electricity. Indiana was particularly affected, with more than 215,000 customers still without power during the recovery. Some utility customers were warned that complete restoration could take several days. Recovery operations continued through the end of the week, with crews clearing roads, repairing power lines, and assessing damage. The event was one of the most consequential U.S. weather stories of the week, affecting hundreds of thousands of people, even though much of the national news cycle remained focused elsewhere. A closely watched measurement of American consumer spending delivered a weaker signal this week. U.S. retail sales declined in July for the first time in 9 months, according to government data reported Friday. The decline followed months in which household spending had remained relatively resilient. Consumer activity represents a major part of the American economy. Changes in purchases at stores, restaurants, dealerships, and online retailers can therefore provide an early indication of whether households are becoming more cautious. The July decline came after unusually large tax refunds had supported spending earlier in the year. As that temporary boost diminished, the latest figures suggested consumers were beginning to reduce some purchases. At the same time, inflation data released during the week showed some moderation, creating a complicated picture for the Federal Reserve. Consumer demand appears to be slowing, while inflation remains above the central bank's long-term target. The July retail report does not by itself indicate that the American economy is entering a recession. It does, however, mark a noticeable change after 9 consecutive months without a decline and makes household spending an important indicator to watch over the coming months. One of the week's largest humanitarian disasters occurred in Colombia, where a powerful earthquake struck the western portion of the country on Monday. By Friday, authorities reported at least 287 deaths, nearly 4,000 injuries, and hundreds of people missing. More than 100,000 people were affected, while thousands of homes, schools, and medical facilities were damaged. The earthquake was estimated at magnitude 7.4 and strongly affected cities including Cali and Pereira, as well as communities in Chocó and surrounding regions. Rescue teams continued searching through collapsed buildings several days after the earthquake. On Friday, possible signs of survivors beneath rubble gave rescuers renewed hope, even as the probability of finding people alive declined with time. The disaster also created an enormous reconstruction challenge. Tens of thousands of homes were damaged or destroyed, and some affected communities remained without reliable electricity, water, or essential supplies. International assistance began arriving while the World Bank announced the release of $200 million to support emergency needs and longer-term reconstruction. Initial efforts are expected to focus on housing, public health infrastructure, and restoring economic activity. Millions of people looked toward the sky this week as the moon passed directly between Earth and the Sun, producing the total solar eclipse of August 12, 2026. The narrow path of totality crossed parts of Greenland and Iceland before moving across the Atlantic and reaching northern Spain and a small portion of Portugal. People elsewhere across Europe, Canada, and portions of the northern United States were able to observe a partial eclipse. Spain became one of the world's main viewing destinations. Authorities prepared hundreds of official observation sites as residents and international visitors traveled into the eclipse path. During totality, the moon completely blocked the sun's bright visible surface for observers positioned along the central path, briefly revealing the sun's faint outer atmosphere, the corona. The event was more than a spectacular visual experience. NASA used the eclipse as an opportunity to conduct scientific observations of the Sun and Earth's atmosphere. Researchers prepared aircraft and balloon experiments designed to observe solar activity and measure changes in atmospheric conditions as the moon's shadow moved across Earth. Unlike many major scientific developments that are visible only through laboratories or telescopes, a solar eclipse gives the public a direct view of celestial mechanics, the precise alignment of the sun, moon, and Earth occurring on a planetary scale. International Youth Day was observed worldwide on August 12th, with the United Nations choosing different contexts, common aspirations as the 2026 theme. The observance highlighted that although young people grow up in very different social and economic conditions, many share similar aspirations for dignity, opportunity, and a meaningful future. Against this backdrop, the teachings of Sant Rampal Ji Maharaj present a distinctive message for young people. Material progress alone should not define a successful life. His discourses emphasize discipline, freedom from intoxicants and harmful addictions, ethical behavior, equality among human beings, and understanding the purpose of human life through spiritual knowledge. For young people facing pressure to succeed, academically, professionally, and financially, the message places equal importance on character and self-control. Followers are encouraged to avoid practices such as intoxication, dowry, and discrimination, while adopting a disciplined lifestyle based on spiritual knowledge. International Youth Day normally focuses on education, employment, participation, and opportunities for younger generations. Sant Rampal Ji Maharaj's teachings add another dimension to that discussion. What kind of person should a successful young individual become?
And that wraps up this week's bulletin. Thank you for joining SA News, and we'll see you next week. Truth that you want to know.